Altogether, the Platts have given us 3 decades of delightful dysfunction on Coronation Street.
I'll put myself in an home, rather than stay here with all this.
David!
If your family's bad, their family's worse. And there's nothing we like better than other people's problems. And as we reminisce over the last 30-odd years, it's no surprise that there aren't that many happy snappies in the Platt family album.
And the happy times always go wrong, sadly.
Fights in the street. Daughter's getting pregnant at the age of 6.
Well, you don't have to keep reminding me. Carmel, the nanny from hell.
Father's stabbed to death. Stepdad turned out to be a mass murderer. It's kind of like, what?
Look as if you're enjoying yourselves.
The Platts don't do things by halves. Between them, they've had 6 weddings, none of which have lasted, 8 kidnaps, 19 trips to hospital, and more end-of-part looks from Gail than Martin's had hot nurses.
I can't do it.
But given the family history, it's hardly surprising.
They're normal in some ways, but they're absolutely mental in other ways.
It's great fun.
But the fun for Gail began long before Martin Platt arrived on the street. In fact, possibly before he was even born.
Looking for me, were you?
It's 30 years ago. It's a long time ago.
With moves like that, it wasn't long before Gail Potter got her hooks into the street hunk.
Chris Quinton, he played Brian.
We're engaged, Gail and me.
You what?
I said we're engaged, ma'am.
And got right up Ivy Tilsley's nose.
Ivy Tilsley, my goodness, what a character she was.
That what it
The
is.
Queen Mother of all mother-in-laws reigned supreme on Coronation Street for 23 years.
So, well, she's not gone out yet.
I want to see Gail.
I want to see Gail. Thanks very much.
But while Poison Ivy thrived, the life of Brian was quite literally cut short. And Gail was left to ponder life alone in Coronation Street. But not for long. It was nearly 20 years ago when Mr. Platt first walked into Gail's life. Back then, Gail was still pregnant with Brian's daughter, Sarah Louise, and Martin had a really bad mullet.
Thank you.
But it was 4 years later that things got serious.
I was just throwing the script in the green room. I was just flicking through what I had to do. And of course, I didn't know what was to come until I read it in the script.
And suddenly the script said, Gail smiles at Martin. I thought, no, I don't want to smile at Martin. No reason to. And then the following week, there was Gail smiles at Martin again. I thought, oh, hello, something's going on here. And he was so young. I thought you might turn up.
I think the kiss came as a surprise to Gail and to Martin and to the viewers.
Hey, lucky Gail.
Keep away from
The 10-year age gap turned more than a few heads in Weatherfield.
Gail Tilsley, the local cradle snatcher.
But against all odds, Gail and Martin vowed to stay together forever and live happily ever after. Yeah, right.
They were happy times. They were happy times.
Could only happen to us.
In Coronation Street, there's always trouble in paradise, and after 3 years of wedded bliss, it was high time that those Platts got a bit of a wake-up call. Enter super nanny Carmel Finnan.
Hey, Carmel.
The first rule of being the older woman is don't invite a younger woman into your home,
Except me.
especially if she's hell-bent on stealing your husband.
He's the biggest kid of the lot.
I think we did know that she was going to be the nanny from hell.
She was a weird, sick, twisted witch who tried to steal Martin Platt away from Gail Platt. She does a kind of femme fatale act, and I have to say, with the most awful clothes I had to wear, how is anyone supposed to seduce anyone?
In a purple jumper. Very seductive.
After moving into the family home, Carmel's next move was into the marital bed. Unbeknownst to Gail. And to Martin. Shocking maybe, but not beyond the realms of reason.
I was given this big article about erotomania. That was what her condition was.
You're mad. Do you know that?
No, I'm not mad. I'm just madly in love. The whole point is that you're convinced that the person is in love with you.
It's meant to be. It's destiny, Martin. I know you feel guilty about Gail, but she's not for you.
That was why it was scary, because she was so real. I mean, you believed her, didn't you? I believed her.
Don't believe this. He's not for you, Gail. You're too old for him. You took advantage of him.
Get out of my house. Yeah, I mean, I do always chuckle when there's another get out, get out. How many people has Gail thrown out of that door? I mean, how many ways can you throw someone out of a door? And I think that was the start of the bad times. The start of the bad times for the Platts. It worked on from there.
Indeed it was. They may have foiled one fatal attraction, but pretty soon Martin developed a bit of an obsession of his own down at Weatherfield General.
Fancy coming to the nurse's Christmas party? Oh, Gail's going to start to wonder where you've got to.
Oh, you see, he's fickle. And they were all younger. It was bound to happen in the end.
Given the shaky foundations the Platt home was built on, it's hardly surprising that the Platt kids are a tad dysfunctional.
I think when Tina and Jack arrived, that's when the Platts took off.
Jack Shepherd was only 12 when he was brought in to give the littlest Platt a whole load of attitude.
David!
Everybody loves David.
That garden's on fire!
He can steal a scene just by a look at the end of it.
Cocky, cheeky.
David's like a lovable rogue, really.
We do great Sunday lunches.
When Jack first came in, he was 2.5 foot tall or something.
2 cokes when you're ready, Betty love.
And I swear to God, he was just the most confident little kid I've ever met.
Oh yeah, whatever he's having.
But David's upbringing was a piece of cake compared to poor Sarah Louise.
Tina did arrive for the teenage pregnancy storyline. Pregnant? No. She's 13. My daughter's 13. She's going to have a baby. Please tell me it's not true.
Not only was it true, it was just the tip of the iceberg for the street's favourite drama teen.
Their baby was kidnapped. I just want to be able to hold her and tell her how much I love her. After that, she was kidnapped herself by an internet pervert. And then her mum married a murderer.
I love you.
And they were all kidnapped.
I love you both too, you know.
And then Sarah Lou became pregnant. Oh no, then Sarah Lou and Todd got together. Oh, no, before that, sorry. Then...
No wonder the poor girl's confused. Sarah Lou's been through more in her 17 years than most soap characters go through in a lifetime.
It was sort of like an ongoing joke, you know. What else could happen to Sarah Louise in her life? Nobody knows.
Oh, Wade.
You know, if it was in real life, she would be in a psychiatric home, I think, at the moment.
That girl can turn on the waterworks like no one else I've ever seen before. If you tell her to cry, she can do it like that.
There was one scene, actually, it was at Billy's funeral. And they went cut, and she had just gone, and this poor girl was just, she just couldn't stop, and it took about 15 minutes.
Tina may have mastered the art of breaking our hearts, but when Adam Rickett arrived as the second Nicky Tilsley back in 1997, he was destined to be a different type of heartbreaker altogether.
Now, when I first turned up, I was doing a photo shoot, just a normal photo shoot, and was there getting changed, and the press officer walked in.
Forget about your body, right there.
And she just kind of went, ah, right, we'll use that. Suddenly, Nick was topless in every single scene, which was terribly embarrassing.
They think it's to titillate the young viewers, but I think you'll find it's the older ladies that possibly like it.
It's the jealous wife.
Jealous wives, though, weren't a problem for Nick. His problem was the jealous mother.
I mean, Nick could have come home with, you know, the Virgin Mary, And Gail would have still said, you know, why is your hair that long?
It's Leanne we're talking about. She's the only one I object to, and you know it.
As Gail's golden boy got together with the street's good time girl, suddenly things started to feel strangely familiar.
Gail, in the early days, Ivy'd always be on her back that she wasn't good enough for Brian.
Now, look here, Ivy. I know you think he can't do any wrong, but I'm the one that's all for soldiering on, and he's the one.
And when Leanne and Nick got together, Gail was saying that Leanne was no good for Nick.
We're not doing anything wrong.
Oh, not by your standards, and certainly not by hers. But I set mine a little bit higher.
Oh, why don't you just tell her, Nick?
Tell me what?
I would say to her, oh my God, I used to do this with Ivy, only you've got my lines and I've got Ivy's lines.
Because we're married.
You what?
I said we're engaged, Mum.
Well, aren't you going to congratulate us?
I think Gail's turned into Ivy Tilsley. It's just history repeating itself.
Serial killers and teenage mums aren't the only things the Platts have introduced us to. Not a lot of people know this, but they were also the family that brought sex to the street.
Well, that's a milestone. I'm pretty sure that was the first bed scene ever on Coronation Street.
Indeed it was, but it certainly wasn't the last.
Maybe just a quick one, eh?
I've got another present for you. Upstairs.
You'll do very well if you're up to the job.
Oh, well, I'm more than capable, me.
I think Gail's done very well since, actually. You better get down to it then, hadn't you?
Sarah's had quite a few dodgy boyfriends.
What is she, the town tart?
I'm still waiting for my girlfriend to come along.
Martin, he's had funny choices of women.
What can we get up to in half an hour? Sally Webster.
I wonder if Gail trained him to do that.
Sally Webster's sister. Kathy Power. Oh, yeah. Rebecca Hopkins.
There's been 2 nurses.
Only to be sociable. You understand? Happy Christmas. Any more?
Well, there was one more. In 2004, we saw the love life of Martin Platt come full circle, as Weatherfield's one-time toy boy became the Coronation Street cradle snatcher.
Well, I sat down in the producer's office and he said, Martin's going to meet a 16-year-old girl and it's not going to be completely illegal, but only just. Are you happy you're staying? So I closed the door and I skipped all the way down the stairs.
I'm starting to like it around here, actually. It was an absolute shock when I found out that we were going to start a relationship, Katie and Martin.
Give us a list.
There's only one thing on it, actually. You. I never told Sean, but the night before we had this big screen kiss, I did not sleep a wink.
Can't sleep?
Nope.
I thought it was good that she was nervous. And I thought it was good that I was quite nervous too. I do feel awkward. But I'm in a situation here that I never expected to be in. I think it created the right reaction.
In true Corrie style, Martin's midlife crisis wasn't with just anyone's daughter, it was his best mate.
Tommy! Me and Katie love each other. We're going to carry on loving each other. And sooner or later, you're going to have to accept it!
And Tommy wasn't the only one lining up to have a pop.
The women that I met around the supermarkets and that were all, you know, get someone your own age.
I constantly get old women coming up and slapping me on the arm or with a bag and just saying, you little bleep or what's it? Leave that Martin alone.
Furtive fumblings with schoolgirl Katie may have raised a few eyebrows, but it was another controversial coupling that shocked the